Hello everyone, this is Goosebumps Godzilla, and today I'm going to be asking myself the question, who exactly is the masked mutant? So at first glance, this question may seem, kind of dumb, because obviously the masked mutant is the masked mutant, but there is more that meets the eye to the masked mutant, and that is his possible human origins. So the masked mutant sort of seems like he was born in the comic book world and all that stuff, but there's a few things to disprove this, and the first thing is in the book, in the fact that he was in the real world. So, in Attack the Mutant, warning, I'm so sorry, I should have said that before, I launched into this, but there are going to be spoilers for Attack the Mutant, minor spoilers, I would say, for Please Don't Feed the Weirdo. I'm really going to be talking about our main antagonist, not like the plot or anything like that. Just mainly the main antagonist of the book. And also Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns. There's also going to be some minor spoilers for that one. Again, just mainly talking about the antagonist instead of the actual plot of the book. So I'm really not going to spoil that much for those things. But anyway, guys, back to the theory. So, as I said before, it seems like the masked mutant has human origins, because in the book, he was found hanging out in the human world. So basically, he's on the search to find a better antagonist for him to face off against, and all that stuff, because he's sick of the same heroes that he constantly defeats. So he goes to the real world in search of finding, a superhero that would be worthy of his time. So there is a strange thing to this, though, and that is the fact that the masked mutant has a headquarters in the real world. I don't know, it's just kind of strange that he wants to hang out in the real world, because according to Dr. Maniac, We'll See You Now, the comic book characters think it's really boring in the real world, and especially for a character like the masked mutant. He goes out of his own dimension trying to find a hero worthy of his time. And so, really, why would he go to the real world? I get he's trying to find a better antagonist, but if the real world is boring for people like Dr. Maniac and stuff like that, then it must be boring for him, since he's going in a different dimension trying to not be bored and getting a new villain. So, it just is crazy that he just goes over to the real world in order to find a more entertaining hero to face off against, and according to Dr. Maniac, We'll See You Now, it's a very boring place. And also, this really is practically confirmed in Horror Town, where the masked mutant sort of implies that he was originally human and he was hit by the comic book rays. So I would say there's pretty much a 100% chance that the masked mutant had a human life before he turned into the actual masked mutant. And so, that would probably be the end of my video. You wouldn't find anyone that is normal. He would be normal, he gets hit by the comic book rays, gets his powers, and that's the end of the whole affair, right? But there is something wrong with this. Because when Skipper Matthews, our main protagonist in Attack of the Mutant, when he gets hit by the comic book rays, he does not get any special powers. It is different in the TV episode, but in the book itself, I don't think Skipper has any superpowers whatsoever. He's still just a normal kid, except I think now his blood is ink or something like that. That's the only change. He still has his natural abilities and all that stuff. So does that mean, actually, that the masked mutant originally had his powers before he was hit by the comic book rays? And so if this is true, I think it'd be really easy to find out who the masked mutant was before he got hit by the comic book rays and became one of the best Goosebumps antagonists of all time. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the point of this video. It's not going to be as long, I don't think, as my other ones. I don't know, only time will tell. But let's get into this video. Okay, so before, I started this video, I did research sort of on Goosebumps monsters with similar capabilities as the Masked Mutant, and honestly, I only found 2 candidates for this role, and that is either a jack-o'-lantern or it is Robbie the Weirdo. Okay, so I kind of want to talk about each person in order. So first, let's talk about the jack-o'-lanterns and how likely they would be to be the Masked Mutant. So obviously, the first bit of evidence to kind of prove that they are the Masked Mutant originally before he was hit by the comic book rays is that they both can shapeshift, but honestly, that's pretty much it. I mean, they both can shapeshift, and it's really weird. There's barely any other really shapeshifters in Goosebumps. I can pretty much transform into anything. I can really only found 2, the ones that I had mentioned before. I mean, other Goosebumps monsters, can transform into monsters, but they can't transform into anything except for these 2 monsters. So the jack-o'-lanterns can, I guess, do the same thing. They vary from 3 different forms in their book, so I'm guessing that they can transform into anything they want. Not really sure about that, though, but I don't know. I just honestly do not think that this would be the Masked Mutant or, same sort of person, because first off, they use their shape-shifting abilities very rarely, and I think they should have used it in some cases from the book, and they didn't. So I would say that probably not them, because Masked Mutant uses his powers a whole lot. I mean, that's his main power. That's how he fights the villains. And they really don't use it. They rely more on their other powers, like their flame-throwing power and their just, overall scariness, So I don't really think that they would be the Masked Mutant due to the lack of that. And also the fact that they don't take their alien form in Attack of the Mutant. If they were attacking the mutant, why would they keep the human form? And I don't know, just a whole bunch of stuff. I honestly believe overall that they are not the Masked Mutant. So let's take a look at our other contestant for the title of the person before he became the Masked Mutant, and that is Robbie the Weirdo. I think there is some actual evidence to prove that Robbie is the Masked Mutant. And so evidence to sort of prove this is, first off, he is a shapeshifter and really uses his shape-shifting abilities a lot, unlike the jack-o'-lantern. So I think this guy would be more on the same side of the Masked Mutant, and also he is evil. I know the jack-o'-lanterns are sort of evil themselves as well, but, they both kind of share similar goals, only really care about themselves. And also both, can transform and use that to their advantage a lot. So, there's that evidence. Also, there's this one quote of the Masked Mutant when he says that lying is one of his better qualities. And, this could be, your normal villain having that evil monologue and, like, lying is one of my better qualities or something like that. But this could also be real to him that this is one of his better qualities. And it would make sense if he was Robbie the Weirdo. Because all Robbie does pretty much in, Please Don't Feed the Weirdo, he constantly lies and begs for food. For some reason. I can't really know why. I guess it would ultimately prove that he has really evil motives, sort of like the Masked Mutant, because he wants to eat really bad so he could turn into a monster and destroy things. So, both share a similar goal and ultimate destruction and all that stuff. So, he constantly lies, though, for food. He constantly lies to the main protagonist. He tricks everyone, which is exactly in line with sort of the personality of the Masked Mutant. And so, I think, honestly, that this ultimately sort of proves that this could be the Masked Mutant. I honestly think it should be some sort of shapeshifter in Goosebumps. Again, comment down below if there's any, Goosebumps characters that can shapeshift into multiple things and stuff like that. But as far as I know, currently, that Robbie is the only one of these. And I think due to the Masked Mutant, like, having all these different goals and, being very let's just say, vicious and evil and the whole world domination thing, if he was someone in the real world, then I think he would share these same capabilities. Not capabilities, but, morals and stuff like that. And want to destroy the world even before he became the masked mutant. So, I think someone who is not afraid to show themselves in Goosebumps and is really violent and just likes doing evil. And so Robbie's the only one who sort of fits this description, though. And one thing you might be wondering, though, is how come he's not eating stuff and turning into a monster and all that. But I think this is obviously proven wrong, that he would turn into a monster again due to Dr. Maniac Will See You Now, in which they state that the comic book characters do not eat anything, thus meaning that Robbie, who I think is the masked mutant, could not eat anything and turn into a monster, so he's sticking with his superpower that he can turn into other objects. But yeah, there's not really that much evidence to prove it, but it's still a possibility. Comment down below what you think about this. Again, there's not that much evidence to prove it, but it does sort of seem likely. But again, comment down below, and that is the end of my video.